Our monthly theme for this month has been inclusion. And it feels that we have this theme at a time where inclusion in our country seems to be under attack. I was abhorred at the news on Friday that two of our highest ranking military leaders, one African American, one woman, were dismissed from their positions, not for performance related reasons. One was described as a DEI hire. And I want to ask us, whenever someone mentions DEI hire, ask them, what do you mean by DEI? Ask them to say the words diversity, equity, and inclusion. Which one of those do you not like? Which one of those do you not like? And so I'm not ever going to say DEI other than saying diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because one of our values here as Unitarian Universalists is the value of pluralism. And what it states, values that we adopted last year, is pluralism. We celebrate we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Pluralism leads to this idea of we are inclusive. But inclusion's a tricky element. It sounds great, but when you really start exploring inclusion, there's always an element. Inclusion is there's a boundary. Some people are within the circle and some people are outside. I think one of the best definitions I've heard around that is we need to exclude some people by behavior to include other people. Because some behaviors are not welcome, but all people are welcome. Some behaviors are not welcome, but all people are welcome. But inclusion is only a step in the journey to be part of a community. I mean, inclusion is generally where you feel welcome, that people feel welcome, but really what we're all looking for when we step into a community is a sense of belonging. That's why we're exploring inclusion and belonging together today. And the author Russell Lehman says, inclusion isn't about being invited to sit at someone else's table, it's about building a new table together, where each person's voice and presence matter equally. The act of inviting often implies a subtle power dynamic, as if someone is granting permission for someone else to belong. But true belonging isn't something that can be granted, it's something that should emerge naturally from a shared understanding and mutual respect. So the question isn't just about who is included, but how and why we include them. So the question isn't just about who is included, but how and why we include them. So inclusion is this sense of being welcome. I think belonging comes from within. You feel comfortable. You feel safe sharing those most vulnerable parts of yourself. That's how you know you truly belong. And I was thinking of my own journey through the San Francisco Unitarian Universalist Church. When did it shift from being included to I felt I belonged? And I think we sometimes look at these things as absolute, but it's a spectrum. You become more and more, you get a greater sense of belonging. But I remember there was some big events. About a month after I started going there, they had this child dedication ceremony for this gay male couple who were basically having this child dedication service for their baby. And one of the parts that really struck me about that was they had the surrogate mother there who was a friend of theirs, and they honoured her as part of the ceremony. They honoured her. And remember one of the words that the minister said, Reverend John Marsh, was that, I hope your baby understands what a great gift and what a what a challenge it is for you to go through this and give up a baby so other people can be the parents. Have you felt that was so honouring of that? Something that often gets pushed to the side when you start talking about surrogate parents. And then a month later, in the second month at the congregation, someone died by suicide in the congregation. And I remember the minister, he lit a candle for the passing, not extinguishing it. Lighting a candle for the passing, not extinguishing it. And they processed it during the time for all ages with the children. One of the children said, why did the person die? And his answer was, they ran out of the tools for living. They ran out of the tools for living. And I think ultimately when you feel a sense of belonging, we will share those parts of our identity, those parts of our personality, perhaps even those parts of our experience that we don't all feel terribly good about. But we are a community, and you feel a sense of belonging when vulnerability is seen as a strength and not a weakness. Vulnerability is seen as a strength and not as a weakness. That's when I know I can belong, when I can bring my full self here. And people honour it, not just accept it, but they honour it. I think the other thing that helps all of us feel we belong is being truly listened to and heard. Because obviously as a minister preaching, you hope people listen to you. They hope they hear something as well. But I think that listening and being heard is where you feel a sense of belonging. And belonging is where both our humanity and our identity are welcomed. And but we also cannot have true belonging without a commitment to a community and without engagement in it. But ultimately, I think why we come to religious community and when we really feel we belong, we believe it's a place that has shared values and is willing to journey with us on a spiritual journey. Belonging may be knowing that we want to grow, transform, and stretch ourselves, and we have a community that will hold us as we do it.